Are we on?
We are now.
Us versus the Facebook. So,
welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Smoking and Toasting versus the Internet. Current score stands at Smoking and Toasting 1, the Internet 45.
there's that. Awesome.
Actually, I may have shared it without major incident.
Get out of here.
If so, this would be quite an achievement. I don't know if we get a point for that or not.
Man, I just put a thing. I just opened up my Facebook. It says, Ian, you've made 1,000 friends on Facebook. Go me.
That's pretty good. I'm up to like 17?
17 friends?
Yeah.
All right, I have now shared. By the way, everyone out there watching this, please share. That's how we get
Please
the word
share,
out.
yes. Facebook
Share,
Live.
share,
Just share
share.
it, and we appreciate that very much.
Share.
Okay.
Hold on. I'll be right back.
I was about to say, here we go. Ah.
Didn't that one roll? Did we use that one a couple times? You know? Did we use this one?
Yeah, we did this last time.
And just like that, he discovers the red special effects box.
Oh, there's sneaky stuff back there.
Uh-huh.
What you thinking?
Now you have completely destroyed the audio in the room because that section is not. Yeah, the whole show's gonna just sound awful.
that's what happened. Huh?
Yeah, that's what happened. I can't compete. All right, I believe
Headphones.
I'm believing we's ready.
All right, I believe we're ready to go.
Number 89, folks. Number 89. What's up, Facebook Live? Oh, sorry. Well. Welcome, my friends, to this fine radio program. We call it Smoking and Toasting, and it is show number 89. Smoking and Toasting is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars, and we are brought to you by our very good friends and confidants
B&B Butchers.
at B&B Butchers, yes, at 1814 Washington Ave in Houston, and in the shops at Clear Fork in Fort Worth, Texas. One of these days, B&B will spread all over the country and will dominate the world.
So, whenever that song Radio Brave comes on, the beginning of that, I actually have this response. Much like when you listen to your favorite album over and over again, one song ends, you expect
the next song to start?
to start, right? So anytime I hear that song now, I expect to hear you go, well, and it's weird if it doesn't happen.
It's kind of weird when it happens too,
right?
Yeah, but that's okay. We have a very interesting show today. We're going to be sampling some very interesting beers and spirits, and we're going to be talking about a lot of what's going on in the ongoing legal battles for the premium cigar industry. By the way, I've been communicating with our man at the Cigar Rights of America, Mr. Trey Boring, who's been on the show before, and he's been out of town, but is coming back, and we'll schedule within the next few shows. We'll have Trey on again,
fantastic,
to bring us up to date from the real sort of in-depth legal standpoint. I'll give you kind of a synopsis of what's going on and where we stand. There have been several major things happen this week, and one of the things that is important is now is the time to actually do something. If you are a cigar smoker, if you enjoy the occasional premium cigar or more than occasional premium cigar, it's now time for you to actually do something. It's one thing to just hear about what's going on and to root for the guys who are out there, kind of waving the flag for us. But now's the time you can actually make a difference. You think sometimes that just one voice won't make a difference, but the combined several voices of all of us will actually make a difference in this thing. And so I'll tell you exactly what to do, and it's easy, and you can just get involved and do your part to help support this thing that we all love and keep the people that make our cigars from having to take on ridiculous extra expense and ridiculous extra, packaging issues and all of the stuff that goes with it, because that will all wind up coming out of our pockets eventually. Is the reality,
It's amazing how the government can have so many laws, like anti-gouging laws, yet this is what they do.
Yet they gouge with
cigars.
With impunity.
It's unbelievable.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
they don't even hide it.
No,
They're like, cigar smokers, you get this.
And the only people I think who are treated perhaps more unfairly than cigar smokers is cigarette smokers, because it's now such a societal no-no to be a cigarette smoker that they just pile on the taxes and the because no senator, congressman is going to be popular in his home district if he advocates, let's say, an income tax increase or a sales tax increase.
And one of the things that really sucks about it, too, is cigars and cigarettes get lumped into the same thing.
Well, that's right.
Because they're both smoking, but it's a way different thing. Like, you are not inhaling a cigar.
And that's
holy
really,
Toledo if you do, by the way. You'll be in bad shape.
And it also, the cigar industry does not cater to and is not accessed by people under 18.
No, not at all.
Cigarettes, I understand the problem. Kids start smoking at an early age sometimes.
No, you had that Captain Obvious moment in one of our earlier
Yes.
shows where it talked about how much money we spent for a study to find out that no one under 18 buys and uses premium cigars.
Sometimes I think that nobody under 30 does. Like when I go into a cigar shop or so, because it has a tendency to be more mature, older people, Well, let's put it this way. As a habit, it's not a super cheap one.
Well, yeah, so if you're at home eating ramen, you're probably not smoking premium cigars.
Probably not, no. And
I've been through that time in my life,
Yes.
and at this point in time in my life, I can afford a cigar once in a while.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the things we try to do here is occasionally share good news about a $4, $5, $6 cigar that is really exceptionally good, so that you don't have it's really easy sometimes, and particularly when you go in certain cigar stores, to just assume that the average price of a premium cigar is about $13 to $19.
Yeah, and
because some stores, that's kind of where everything seems to start at 10,
Right.
And in some states it's even worse. So,
and I'm always looking for a sweet spot at the $7 range.
yeah, see, I love the $7 and $8 range.
Yeah,
that's
they're
where
great, and I love it when I find a gem that's under $5 that you can get. Now, unfortunately, at a brick and mortar, it's a little hard to find those under $5 gems, and so I generally don't look for those there. But if you're online buying and you want something that is a fantastic cigar for the under $5,
get it on special or something.
Yeah, there's a lot out there.
My sweet spot's probably $7 to $8. That's where I seem to be able to find more cigars at $7 and $8 that smoke like a $10 to $12 than I do a $5 or $6 that smokes like an $8 or $9.
Well, and then when you start talking about a $12 to $13 cigar in the first place, that inherently should be a pretty badass cigar.
Yes,
because it's $12 to $13 starting point.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Right. Well, we have a lot of good things to discuss on the show, and I just wanted to mention what we're going to be tasting today. Anchor Brewing in San Francisco has one called Liberty Ale. I don't think it's new. I think they've been making it for
it's
years.
Been out for a long time.
But it's new to me.
It's delicious.
Yes.
Did I say that?
Yeah. You have now completely biased the review, Ian.
I'm sorry.
I had a feeling it's going to be delicious.
Don't think it's delicious because of me.
Because the Anchor Brewing people seem to know what they're doing.
Man, they do. And their steam is so good.
So here's one you may not have tried. Let's see. The Wicked Weed Genesis Blonde Sour Ale.
Have not.
Okay, we'll be tasting that on the show.
That will be all brand new.
And Lakewood Brewing's Coconut Temptress Imperial Milk Stout.
That sounds interesting.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? So we'll be trying that. Plus, Antigua Cruz Anejo Tequila on the show today. Nice. So it's going to be a good tasting show. Plus, a huge and very important safety alert: cigars and cheap cologne do not mix. We'll tell you why. And on today's show, why we call it booze. Where the word came from, what the origin is.
Ever since you sent the show notes out,
yeah.
And show notes, by the way, this is where Cruz puts together, hey, we might talk about this stuff.
Right. Sometimes we do.
Sends it out in an email.
Yeah.
But ever since you sent the show notes out today, I've been wondering about that.
Why do we call it booze?
Now, if there was only a little device that I could hold in my hand and ask these questions.
Oh, see?
But I actually wanted to wait for a surprise.
You waited. Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad. So tell me about your week. Did you smoke anything interesting this week?
I smoked a cigar that I couldn't actually identify.
Oh, that can be a problem. You ever have one that the band slips off of it in your humidor and you don't know what you're smoking?
I don't know what it is.
Wow, this is good. I wonder what it is.
All right, we're going close up on this band because this is all I had to go by.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, there's no name on here as far as the brand or anything like that. So, but it's an awesome looking band. What I did find out, I finally found out and searched it around today. This is a Casa Fernandez Master Mason.
Ah.
I don't know where I got it.
I don't think I gave it to you.
I don't know where I got it. It might have been from the Big Smoke, or I might have just picked it up somewhere.
So I don't think it was Big Smoke because I would have had one.
You would have had one too,
and
right?
I don't recognize that band.
So whoever gave me this,
one of your friends, maybe
identify yourself. This was. I'm going to go ahead and start off. This was a fantastic cigar.
She liked it.
It was so good. Me and my wife was sitting out back with me. We were sitting on the patio and I was smoking. And I even mentioned like a few times, like this cigar is fantastic. Like, it was interesting because it started off. The pre-light sniff was kind of. This is a Maduro blend, by the way. That's what this one was. It's a Nicaraguan Maduro blend, and the pre-light sniff started off with just your basic cigar, generic kind of cigar profile.
Sometimes there's not a lot in that pre-light.
It wasn't.
It's funny. I read reviews online sometimes, and they're listing 8 things they got in the pre-light. I'm like, I'm lucky if I get leather or chocolate. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
This had a little hint of coffee in the pre-light sniff. It had just your classic kind of barn. Smells,
sort of tobacco smells.
Tobacco smells. It didn't smell like much. The construction was really beautiful. Like it's dark chocolate, somewhat not totally oily, but a little bit oily and enough to be almost toothy, kind of chewy.
Nice.
I like that.
Yes.
Because sometimes, much like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I like to stand around with a cigar just in my jaw. It's okay.
It's very action hero.
It is.
It really is.
So anyway, I fired it up, and it started off very mild. Like the whole pre-light or the whole initial light was very mild, and I was like, wow, this is kind of nice. Very classic cigar flavors, coffee. Flavors going on, a little bit of chocolate kind of flavors going on, and then it just blossomed into this wonderful, complex, like coffee shop.
So how far in did it like kind of take off?
At about a half inch.
Really?
So it didn't take long. It
That's
didn't
good.
take long at all, and it just blossomed in this. And then as I smoked it, the complexity kept building until it had towards the end it had some pepper and some spice towards the end, but it never built up to where it was too much of anything. It kind of evolved, and the coffee kind of went away, and chocolate came in, and then the chocolate kind of went away, and the pepper came in, and it just kind of did this, and that was
I love
fantastic.
when cigars kind of shift and change as you smoke them too. Yeah,
so
where you get different things.
If you would have had the first couple puffs of this cigar and then came back at the tail end of the cigar, you would have just thought it was a completely different blend,
different smoke,
but still had some things in common. Now, the first third of this was flawless. The second third of this, towards the end of my second third of this, actually went out on me, and I did a relight with no penalty whatsoever.
Good to know.
It was wonderful. And then by the time I was just about done with this, it kind of went out on its own again. And so I was done with it at that point in time. But I had smoked it down pretty small at that point. I want to put this. I have no idea what this thing costs because I have no idea where I got it.
So I guess
So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to skip the price to quality index today and just tell you this was a fantastic cigar. If you see this, I'm going to hold this label.
Yeah, please show that label again.
If you see this,
there you go.
Buy one. Okay. They are good.
That's good to know.
I will tell you that if that cigar costs $10, it's worth every penny. If that cigar costs $12, it's worth every penny.
Okay.
If it costs more than that, then you're maybe getting right on that line. But man, it was a good cigar. I enjoyed it.
Well, if it smokes like a 10 or 12, then whatever the price, you can compare it to that if you come across one. That's good to know. I had a really great cigar this week, too. a special occasion cigar for me, as my wife and I have our anniversary this week.
And congratulations on
Thank
that.
you. And she gave me a kind of a special occasion cigar for anniversary.
What did you get?
And it is it was, I should say, because it has now been smoked, a Montecrsto Connoiseur Texas edition Toro. Now, it's one of 4 regional editions that Montecrsto released. They released a Texas, a New York, a Chicago, and a Las Vegas. And so this is one of the 4. It is Ecuadorian wrapper, a Dominican piloto binder, and Dominican filler. So Ecuadorian and Dominican. But the sort of big thing for me is it was a 60 ring gauge, a little bit bigger than
That's
my normal.
bigger
smoke.
than what you generally smoke. Yeah.
I'm usually in the 50, 48 to 55 range. But from the start, a very elegant cigar, beautiful construction, gorgeous wrapper on it. Pre-light, a little bit of coffee, maybe some toasted nuts. And then I used a punch and lit it up. It took a minute before the flavor really started to kick in, but once it did, it was complex from about that first half inch, like you mentioned with yours, all the way down until I was literally burning my fingers and had to put it down in the ashtray. I got notes of leather and black pepper, cedar, a little bit of cocoa on the finish. It was a medium-bodied cigar. It wasn't full. It was a medium-bodied, but it was so rich and full-flavored and very complex. It was exactly what you want a medium-bodied cigar to be. I don't think you could have asked for much more flavor from a medium-bodied cigar. I smoked it while we watched the thriller of a Rockets Warriors Game 4. Rockets won by 3. Go Rockets. Maybe it was our anniversary. Maybe it was the Rockets win. But I absolutely loved the cigar. My wife did not tell me how much it cost. I'm guessing it was about a $15 cigar. So if I'm right, P to Q, I'd put it a 5.5. Again, assuming it's a $15 to $18 cigar, 5.5, which, again, price to quality, if it's a 5, you get exactly what you paid for. So I felt like this was just a little more if it's in that price range. It's really difficult for a $15 to $18 cigar to score much higher than what you paid for it, But this one I thought did maybe outperform just a little bit. So if you find it for $15 to $18 or less, buy it. It's good. So 2 big cigar recommendations here today.
Yeah, mine was
Very
great.
nice. We'll see what we think of some of the spirits and beers that we'll be trying coming up. Plus, why do we call it booze? We will find out on this program. You are listening to Smokin' and Toastin', episode number 89.
So I want to talk a little bit about your cigar too when we come back.
Manny El Cabano Lopez says, "Hola, amigos. I'm smoking a 60 ring gauge while listening today."
Hello, Manny.
What's up, Manny? You're the
we
man.
need to go hang out with him again.
Yes, we do. We're overdue, Manny, to come back out to see you.
Plus, I'm out of all his cigars.
Yes, I was about to say the same thing. Plus, I'm out of all the cigars I got at your shop. So
he is unfortunately not on my way home.
Yes, not on your way home. And it's not like you can pick up his cigars at a shop that is on
Right.
your way home. So you got to make a trip, but it's worth it.
Absolutely.
Highly worth it. Okay.
So I'm going to, when we come back, I want
gonna
to talk
talk about my
about
cigar?
your cigar because I have an experience with that cigar as well.
Oh, with the Texas, really?
Yes. And it was funny when you said that because I was like, I know that cigar.
I know the Texas edition. Texas edition was a friend of mine. You, sir, are no Texas edition. Remember that from the Dan Quayle vice presidential debate where, what's his name, was the other guy, he's like, Dan Quayle said something about John F. Kennedy, and the other guy said, I knew John Kennedy. John Kennedy was a friend of mine. You, sir, are no John Kennedy. That was that's the story. So that's what I was referencing. I think I just showed my age. Oh, the Liberty Ale, my friend. Oh, I got to get a bottle opener.
I have a bottle opener here if you need. All right. All right, everybody out there. Terrence, are there any local tobacco growers who hand roll? I don't know. Do we have anyone local? I don't know of any.
Well,
but that doesn't mean there aren't any.
Manny manufactures his own, but I
Well,
don't know if it's
yeah.
local. It's not local tobacco, though. I don't know if there is any local tobacco.
Yeah, I think you do that. But El Cabano Cigars in is it Texas City?
It's League City.
League City.
Mm-hmm.
They roll and make their own cigars there. And by the way, thank you
for rolling and making your own cigars.
Oh, Terrence said that was Texas Senator Lloyd Benson.
Lloyd Benson was in, yes. Who has a highway named after him.
Yes. Right through Houston.
Yes, it does. All right. Segment numero dos. Show 89. So we'll talk about the premiums. We'll come back. You talk about the Texas edition, and then I will talk about the legal stuff.
Oh, Manny's on top of it. He says both Texas City and League City. That might be why I was confused.
See? Thank you, Manny. All right, here we go. Segment 2. It'd kind of be too much if I did the well, like every time we came back from break. That would be over.
Well. Welcome back.
Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. It's show number 89. The title of today's show is Why Do We Call It Booze? We will get to the bottom of that as the program continues. We'll be doing some tasting. In fact, I've already brought out the Liberty Ale, showing that to the camera there. We'll be trying that momentarily, although Ian informs me that he's already tasted this. But we'll taste it and tell you what we get.
It's called research.
Yes, that's exactly what we do.
I have been researching this work for many years.
I understand you researched the cigar that I
so when you mentioned that, I wanted to make sure that you got all the way through your review of it. When you mentioned that, I actually last year, not this past birthday, but the one before that, my wife bought tickets to see. I'm totally blanking now.
It was
the organ
a show.
player, Green Onions.
Right,
we can think of the song.
I'll think of it in a second. Somebody will mention it in the show notes. I know Booker T and the MGs.
Booker T, yeah. So she bought tickets. I don't know why I couldn't bring that up. She bought me tickets for my birthday to see Booker T, and we drove out there. Now this was on the north side of town. I was at the Do-Si-Do, which is a great place to see
shows.
Events. But on our way out there, we happened by a Specs.
Mm-hmm.
And I wandered in.
Which is easy to do in Houston.
Yes. And I wandered in, and I walked into there. They had a small humidor in that Specs, but it was a small walk-in. And I looked down, and I saw a Texas edition, and I thought, well, I'll try that.
Why not? You live here. Why not?
So, like, a couple things when you said that brought me back to that night. That night was such a good night, such a good show. I mean, Booker T just killed it. I was sitting, I was sitting from here to a little past the camera away from the guy, and he was just amazing, right behind his organ the whole time. His son was playing guitar with him. His son was good. We had a blast, and then we went out after that, and I ended up smoking that cigar, and just that was like one of the fun things about smoking a cigar like that is the memory you attach to it sometimes when it's a special occasion cigar.
Well, just like I was saying, for me, that cigar will always be anniversary and the rocket.
Right. So, like, certain cigars do that, and then when you said that, it just brought me back to that entire time, and I was like, oh, that was fun.
And what was your take on it? Did you like it as well?
I didn't do a full review on it, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. I had no problems with the price I paid for it. And if I'm correct, it was I think you're right, it was in the $14 to $15 range. But it said Texas edition, and, we're Texans, so we will buy stuff that says Texas editions, whether it's a truck, whether it's a cigar.
By the way, I don't know if you know this, but apparently it is Truck Month.
Is it really?
Yes.
I
thought last month was Truck Month.
I've seen a commercial that last month was Truck Month.
By the way, they don't have sales anymore at car dealers.
No?
They have events.
Yes.
Yeah. So speaking of Texas and the fact that we will buy anything that says Texas edition on it because
we're Texans.
We're Texans. The Texas cigar industry is going to get a chance to argue against the FDA's final deeming rule in court next month. The judge has set a court date while also denying the agency's attempt to transfer the case to Washington, D.C. So it's going to be very interesting. The Texas cigar industry has filed their own suit against this pending legislation, basically. So it's going to be very interesting to watch. That's one of the updates on Cigar Watch this week for what's going on legally. The other is where you can get involved. The FDA recently opened up a comment period. inviting the public to weigh in on its serious and onerous restrictions on the premium cigar industry. They have said, and I'm reading this from Cigar Aficionado, from a special alert that they sent out. They have said they are willing to listen. So it's imperative that we tell everyone tell the FDA premium cigars deserve to be exempt from these regulations.
Yes.
And that's all you have to do. So go to the FDA website, or you can go to cigaraficionado.com, and there are links there for what to do. But the idea, you don't have to write 3 paragraphs. You simply have to say, as a cigar smoker, I'm this age, I live here. I truly believe that premium cigars should be exempt from this legislation because they are not a part of the problem.
Yes.
That's all
and
you
this
have to
will
say.
only take moments of your time.
Only takes minutes of your
time. And a
time.
shout out to Cigar Aficionado, by the way. Those guys are an upstanding
I really like Cigar Aficionado. They come under a little scrutiny every once in a while, a little criticism, but I enjoy the magazine. I enjoy their reviews. I don't always agree with their reviews, but that's fine. They're reviews.
That's okay.
I didn't agree with the guy that, gave Star Wars 1 star when it came out either, but, that's just me. I'm a bit of a geek for things like that. So, all right. It's Smoking and Toasting, show number 89. Can you believe they've allowed us to do 89 episodes of this thing? It's time to pop the top.
That's such a good song.
On some Liberty Ale. It certainly is. Now, Anchor Brewing in San Francisco is, correct me if I'm wrong, Ian, the oldest craft brewery in the United States. Is that right? I believe that it is.
The oldest operating craft brewery in the United States is Yuengling.
Well, okay, you're right. So I guess what Anchor is credited with then is kind of starting the modern day craft beer movement.
Yes, and they've been around.
When they launched
forever.
Anchor Steam. Yes, they have been around for a while, and I guess I should have done some research and looked to see exactly how long. But I do know that Anchor Steam is great. I anxiously await their Christmas ale. Every year. It's so good. My favorite actually was not last year, but the year before. Last year's was good. Year before was just absolutely exceptional. So, I'm big fans of the Anchor Steam. Big fans of really everything. I've also tried an IPA of theirs that I tried that was very, very good. But this one is the Anchor Liberty Ale. The print is very, very small to read, but it has an eagle and an anchor on the front, along with some hops and some barley, and it is, I think going to be pretty refreshing.
This is a great example of a refreshing light ale. Mm-hmm. The color of it. Look at this slightly dark straw color,
and it's a little bit hazy too. It's not not unfiltered, but it's a little hazy.
It's a really, really good example of what you'd want in a light ale. I think.
For one thing, it's full of flavor.
Yes.
It has got mouthfeel and flavor from the very beginning. So whereas a lot of light ales or summer beers or some blondes are refreshing but not necessarily packed with flavor, this is completely different.
This manages to ride the line between there's a little bit of bitter snap to the end of it that leaves you crisp and going, I'd like another sip of that.
Right. The crispness doesn't get taken over by the bitter, but it's definitely there.
There's not very much sweet to this, but then again, it's not a bitter beer. It just has a bitter snap at the aftertaste. And to me, this is a great drinkable ale, and it's probably in the neighborhood of 5%, I'd guess.
Yes, I think that's right. But I'm looking to see if it says.
I also am a true believer that Anchor can't do much wrong when it comes to beers.
I certainly have not had an Anchor beer that I have not liked on some level.
Yeah.
This is surprisingly refreshing for how much flavor is in this beer. Would you agree?
I'm actually continually amazed too. Like their steam beer is kind of its own style, and it's so good. I've only ever run across.
I've seen a few others try to make a steam style beer.
I've only run across one, and that was from here in town. That was which brewery was that? The one up in the Heights.
Not Eureka Heights.
Not Eureka Heights. No. I can't think of it right now, and it was a good one because remember I think we had it at B&B actually when we were there. Jeremiah had it there.
Yes.
And it was their steam style beer, and it was also quite good. But Anchor just nailed that one, and I think their Liberty Ale is quite good.
Yeah, quite good. And I loved the IPA of theirs that I tried.
I don't think I've tried that.
And it's
that one slipped through the cracks.
I'll have to track some down. It's not the easiest beer to find, although I think you can find Liberty Ale pretty easily here in Texas. But the Christmas ale is usually very discoverable. Yeah. But their other varieties are not quite as easy to find. Steam, you can usually find
you
Steam.
Can usually find, if you see Anchor, you almost always see Anchor Steam.
Mm-hmm. But so many places you'll see Anchor Steam, and that will be the only Anchor represented there. So unless it's Christmas time, in which case, I don't know. Maybe it's not that common. Maybe I just seek it out every year because it's so good.
It is good, and it's different every year too. That's the funny part.
Along the lines of the legal stuff we were talking about, Canada has passed their own law that is going to eliminate beautiful cigar boxes in Canada.
Are they just going to turn it into one big warning label?
It's a plain packaging law for tobacco products. So holographic Cohiba bands and ornate boxes of, Punch and Partagas and stuff may be a thing of the past, at least in Canada. The Parliament passed a bill, Bill S5, on the 16th of this month, which gives the Health Canada organization regulatory authority to implement plain and standardized packaging on tobacco and vaping products, including premium cigars. The bill does not lay out a specific plan for implementation, but some of the proposed measures will include standardized color, standardized typeface, standardized packaging completely devoid of any stylized branding elements other than stating a brand name, promotional colors, logos, crests, embossments, or gilding of any kind. The plain package rules will extend to both cigar boxes and cigar
This makes me think, by the way, that if you end up watching a movie in Canada that was released and has a cigar in it, it's going to have that black bar across the cigar the entire time.
That's
okay. So if anyone out there gets a cigar from Canada and it has a white label that simply says cigar, I totally need that.
Yeah, I want that for sure.
I totally need that.
I totally want that.
Or a cigar box, like a plain white box that just says cigar.
Yeah. Although it would have one example, and that's if you're trying to impress your friends. You're there smoking a cigar with a generic band, and the guy goes, "Hey, what are you smoking?" Yeah, Cuban Cohiba. It's an Opus X. Really? It doesn't look like it. Yeah, Canada.
Hey. It just says cigar. It's the ultimate leveler, right? Like, it doesn't matter what you're smoking. You can't show it off.
All right, we're gonna take a very quick break, and we will return. You're listening to Smoking and Toasting. When we come back, it's time to get sour. Some Wicked Weed Genesis Blonde Sour Ale. Very excited about tasting this. This is either going to be like a great new find or something completely off the charts different that may or may
it's
not.
Wicked Weed, so it's going to be weird.
Yeah, it's going to be weird and likely to be good. Yeah, so we will pick back up with that. Plus, I teased you about this last week, Ian, but the new machine that's coming out that brews coffee, tea, and beer.
I was going to ask you about that because you have that as one of our talking points.
Yes.
And we didn't get to it.
We'll get
and
to
I'm
it
dying
next.
to hear that.
We'll get to it next. It's Smoking and Toasting. Thank you for listening. That sucks about the label.
Yeah. Like all the beautiful artwork. It's kind of like, we went through this with music years ago because remember when you'd go buy an album, you were buying this big piece of art.
Yeah.
And you'd open it up and it'd be another big piece of art or a bigger piece of art. And then sometimes you'd hold it to a mirror to make even more art. And any of you who have a Zeppelin album know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden we had the Phillips cassette.
Right.
Which
with your
like if you bought the Danzig
handwriting on it,
if you bought the Danzig album and you unfolded the little liner thing, it was an upside down cross, by the way.
Ooh,
Danzig, right?
Yes.
Why does he want my skull? But yeah, so like when everything got miniaturized, like we lost that artwork, and it feels to me like that's what's happening, and they're going to cover up so much of the. Like all those beautiful boxes on the beautiful presentation gone.
Well, you can see like in the pictures.